Canada's West Coast, beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, where the Raptors are here for training camp. The first time since 2017, the West Coast gets to see the NBA team that resides in Toronto. Paul Jones inside at the University of Victoria, alongside play-by-play voice on the TV side, Matt Devlin. And Matty, it seems like Masai talked about it yesterday. It seems like we're back to normal. No masks. We got Travis Stone behind the camera. Things kind of normalizing as we get back to training camp.
And back in the gym, which is great. Back in training camp, of course, last year training camp held in Toronto. Great to be here on the West Coast, and I know it brings back some great memories for you.
I'm looking around this gym and
York, you, Vic.
Some of these banners here, championship banners, I'm going to take them down because they should be in another gym. But let's talk about a team trying to get another championship banner, the Toronto Raptors. And Matt, we know how young they were last year, and depending on the leadership of Van Vliet and Siakam, who's a young vet. Scotty stepped into his own and did a good job, but he's still a young player. But this year, armed with Otto Porter Jr. and a full year from Thad Young, that's going to really help.
It certainly will. And I think, one of the things, Jonesy, that really stood out to me today was just the depth. Yeah. Right. And you mentioned, you have that full season now of Thad Young. And as he mentioned, he's been, talking since the day that he arrived. And then you add in Otto Porter Jr. and you start thinking about the bench rotation. You start thinking about the depth that the Raptors have. And it's going. And that's going to be paramount. Nick Nurse talked about how you have to now go really deep into the bench over the course of the 82 games. So their leadership, you could tell they fit right in. And to me, it was extremely impressive to see today.
Well, the interesting thing, too, is Thad came in mid-season, after the trade deadline last year, and he really took some time to acclimate himself. Now you've got Otto Porter coming in off a championship. And guys' ears perk up when a guy starts talking and he's got a ring or he's just got one. And the two of them have a connection as well, too. So, that veteran leadership is going to be really important because outside of, Fred, Pascal, and OG, Chris Boucher, not many guys have had their hands on the trophy recently.
And it's interesting because, when you think about what they talked about, which was lead by example, right? The vets come in the gym and they get their work done and how to manage the course of the 82-game schedule. And all of a sudden, you have the presence of Otto Porter and then also Thad Young. And you mentioned this, there is a connection there. They have played together before. And that was one of the things that stands out to me is the continuity. The continuity with the five.
Yeah. And
then you have just right off top of your head, off the bench, Otto, you have Thad Young. When you think about, the depth of the Raptors with Chris Boucher, Precious Achiuwa, now all of a sudden, and everybody talks about the point guard situation, but we know how the Raptors like to play. Get it and go. Right? And Otto Porter can certainly do that. And so, this is something that to me, the continuity and then the connection, as you mentioned, with those two, it just kind of gels. I mean, it's day one, but yet it didn't feel like day one, right? Right? Would you agree with that?
Right. And the depth is going to be huge, especially over an 82-game season. All right. Let's hear from those two guys that we've been focusing on, Thaddeus Young and Otto Porter Jr.
By the way, thank you very much for having me. You're the best, Jonesy. Jonesy!
I definitely called him just to ask him what's going on. So we definitely had conversations, but it was a small factor.
Okay. Yeah. He was the lone veteran voice for a while here last year when he got here, and he talked a lot about the younger guys, picking his brain. How much do you think it's going to help this team to have that kind of blend of experience with you and Thad and some of the youth?
Yeah, no, I think, like that said, we got a bunch of young guys that, hungry, they're ready to do whatever it takes, and by having the extra vet to help that out with the guys, they're already picking our brains, first day, they want to get to that leader level. And it's our job to pass down information, that, I got from Golden State or from my previous years playing. You definitely want to share that with the younger generation.
Have they asked you about your experience?
Oh, for
last
sure.
year?
For sure.
What do you tell them?
I just told them how it was, working every day, being a true professional. And what that is getting your work in and taking care of what you got to take care of.
On that note, this was a team that sort of struggled in the half-court offense last year. There's obviously only one Steph, there's only one Draymond, but what can you take away about how to play offensively in the half-court from that experience?
Just ball movement. Player movement, ball movement. You gotta keep the defense shifting on the defensive side. And that's within our offense, getting stops. It start with getting stops and getting out and break. When we do get in the half court, it's just about taking our time, getting to our spots, moving. Just continue to move the ball.
As a guy who's not as ball dominant as some of the other guys on the team, how do you show that? Is that just by your own movement, or is it by making the next pass? Like, how do you sort of help that process along on the court?
Our coach, he emphasized, attacking, attacking mentality. You get an edge on defense, explore it to create for yourself or create for others. And that's what we're going to do this year.
You see a lot of philosophical similarities between Toronto and Golden State, the way they play?
Yeah. Especially defensively, all over the place, switching a lot. With this lineup, very versatile. Anybody that comes in, can play all positions pretty much, and that's going to help for sure.
No, he's good. He's great. He's a perfect role model for kids. One of those guys that's going to come to work every day, but also speak the realness to kids and tell them about his story, how his journey was, and how he was looked over, and how now he's having all the success in the world. So great, always a great person to kind of bring to your youth camps or bring back to the program he once played for.
Mid-season trades are obviously a whirlwind. How much different do you feel now being a part of this team versus back in February and March?
10 times different. I think now, I'm coming into training camp and coming into the season with a fresh mind, mentally prepared and focused. Last year when I got here, I was kind of I was fine, but, that's because I'm a tough individual. But mentally burnt out, just for the simple fact of I didn't play the first half of the season, and I spent a lot of time conditioning myself and burning myself out to try to be ready for the second half of the season. And then I think when I got here, I wasn't able to really play to my full potential and my full reach. So now I get a fresh mind, fresh start, to come to training camp to really figure everything out in the beginning. And also, I had some time last year to kind of play with the guys, so I have a great feel for who plays what, how they kind of play, and what they kind of do. So I'm very happy to, be back with this team. That was, one of the big determining factors, just coming back to a situation I was familiar with.
Does this feel like a deep team? Last year that was
Super
kind
deep.
of an issue.
Super deep. We have a lot of young guys that can play basketball. Some guys on training camp deals, those guys can play as well. So, just about finding, the right combinations, the right guys who can, play in the right roles and fulfill the right spots. Just going out there and continuously helping with the growth of the guys, that's on the team.
We thank Matt Devlin for his thoughts. You heard from Otto Porter Jr. and Thaddeus Young. Beautiful day, a Chamber of Commerce type day as the Raptors start training camp here in Victoria, and they will start training camp with a healthy roster. And look at all the depth. Not everybody, unfortunately, is going to be on this team, but boy, it gives Nick Nurse a lot to work with. There are a lot of permutations and combinations he can have. We've already seen him do that last year, and now he's got more tools to work with. He talked about that when he met the media after practice today.
What the hell do you do on the first day of training camp?
Well, just, you get after setting some of your foundational things done. You get the effort up and make sure that playing hard is still, right at the top of the list priority-wise. And you just start reviewing and building foundational stuff. We've got most of the team back, so you can move pretty fast this year with that stuff. But there's still a good amount of teaching going on for the guys that haven't been here, just again so we can all get on the same page as quickly as possible. But super energetic morning, they were raring to go, and they were really playing hard today, man. Really looked good out there.
You always talk about trying to get better yourself every offseason and keep on learning. With the stuff that you do come up with to add or supplement, how long in the process do you wait until you start putting that stuff in?
No, it's in already. Like we're making 3 or 4 pretty, I would say, 3 or 4 additions or changes or adjustments to some things that we did last year. A couple of them we've never done before. A couple of them are probably in the experimental phase, but I liked what I've seen. It's not like we just wait till now to do it, right? We got a lot of sessions in the off season and lots of meetings and things like that. Where summer league where we can try some things. So we're into it. There's be some noticeable things we're trying to emphasize and some things we're changing.
How valuable or important are those weeks where you're together in LA, although those unofficial coaching weeks, or when you guys are training in the facility here, not everyone's there, but again, not official coaching weeks?
Yeah, I mean, listen, most of those are for player development, right? Those guys are trying to get better at their own individual games. I've always said that when we can get our guys to get in a group, I think it helps, and we try to do as much player development in a group setting as we can if we've got a group available. And the one thing that you guys asked me yesterday and again is that our veteran guys did a good job of setting the tone and getting the groups together this summer, right? And that's how it has to be, right? I mean, we can't require anybody to be there, but it always helps if your buddies are going and you say it might be a good idea to be there. So that probably, Michael, is what it does mostly, is it gets them in some rhythm, both sides of the ball.
So that's it for day 1 of training camp from Victoria. The Raptors will be here all week, culminating in a scrimmage on Friday, and then it's off to Edmonton for the first preseason game against the Utah Jazz on October 2nd. For Travis Stone behind the camera, Jake LaRue, Evan, our editor, we say thank you for watching. So long from Victoria.